Hello and welcome into the KE Report. I'm your host, Shad Markwitz, and today we're getting an update from Thor Explorations. Thor is traded on the TSX.V under the ticker THX, on the London Exchange under the same ticker THX, and on the OTC markets in the US under the ticker THXPF. I'm joined today with the President and CEO of Thor Explorations, Segun Lawson. And Segun, always great to get you on the show to get an update on the company. We were remarking off mic that it's a wild environment to have gold north of $3,000 US. And as a producing company at your Segilola Mine in Nigeria, I would imagine that the margins are getting fatter and that this kind of gold price environment gives you some optionality as far as what you can do in the company.
Yes. Well, first of all, good to speak to you again, Chad. And yes, I completely agree. We're in all-time high gold price territory. And, we have been in almost for the last 12 months, but I wouldn't have foreseen this $3,000 gold price come so early in my personal forecast. And like you say, being a producer in this environment is really positive. Our all-in sustaining costs has remained the same. So, having this higher gold price has resulted in obviously higher profitability. And, the focus remains in terms of production, staying on top of our costs and meeting our production targets through the course of this year. So our guidance for the year was between 85 and 95,000 ounces. We believe, it's still very early in the year, but nothing suggests we're off track in that regard. We're coming to the end of Q1. We'll update the market as usual in the third week after Q1 on our interim numbers. But, as things are tracking, we don't see why we shouldn't be in line with guidance in terms of production and also in line with guidance in terms of our costs. And then also it's probably worth noting and also very encouraging for us that, we are achieving these all-time high gold prices at a time where we've completely deleveraged from our senior debt facility at the end of last year. So we're really strengthening our balance sheet through the course of this year.
Yeah, Segun, I was going to bring up the fact that you guys are now debt-free as of the end of last year. So with these fatter margins, this higher gold price environment, what does that mean for being able to plow more revenues and cash flows into the exploration side of the business? And I'm sure people listening will wonder, what are the initiatives to extend the mine life around Segilola? What can you tell us about the exploration there on the ground?
Yes, we've always believed there's a exploration potential in and around Segilola. We've now put ourselves in a position where we can fund that at a larger scale than we have done historically. We completed a proof of concept drill program towards the end of last year. We've re-engaged in that deeper drilling, should I say, underneath the Segilola pit. And we're working towards obviously extending the mine life because that's the most beneficial value accretive action we can do for our shareholders now. There's no significant capex requirements, senior debt is paid, and extending the mine life now at these gold prices and these margins is highly, highly value accretive. So yes, you're right. We're investing significantly in exploration underneath the pit and in and around the pit, and that's really focused on extending the mine life.
And just to put a little more color on it, would you imagine going lower in the pit then and making it a deeper pit, or would you imagine transitioning over to underground mining and then maybe also weave in at surface, you're still looking for satellite pits as well?
Yeah, I mean, going lower in the pit is obviously the biggest win. We've already opened up the pit. We've drilled underneath the pit and found gold. And now it's all about seeing the economics of deepening the pit, seeing where that inflection point is in terms of open pit to transitioning to an underground. So that's still, that would be the prize, and that work is ongoing. We have purchased our own rigs. They will be coming into country over the course of the next 6 weeks or so. And when they do get here, that also enables us to step up the rate of drilling as well at a cheaper cost than we have been drilling previously as well. So yes, we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to just drilling through constantly over the next 6 months or so as well. And we hope it's a positive outcome. I think one thing that is encouraging is that from the proof of concept program, we have hit gold mineralization in the majority of our holes, some better than others. But, we are still, learning where the gold is and how much of it there is. So this drilling program is something that is being prioritized by the company. And it's something that, we're very excited about, and we'll continue to release the news to the market as we get it.
Well, and just on the surface drilling up at some of the potential satellite pits, you've had a little bit of success there as well. Could you maybe speak to why even finding a small pit would be pretty creative? Because the point you just made, you've already got all the sunk cost in place. So any particular action on surface that you want to highlight?
Yes, that's all part of our exploration program that's going on as well. We, like you rightly said, we do have a number of small deposits dotted around. We are also following up on additional targets we've delineated over the course of the years. And like you say, these are probably the biggest wins for us because they're very low cost to mine. All the capex has been sunk. The mill is right there. And, processing these additional pits is a very high margin activity. So, yeah, look, we're looking forward to the next 6 months. We should have drill results coming out through the course of the entire next 6 months. And, the biggest prize, like I say, is extending this Segilola mine life.
All right. Well, we'll keep following along with those results when they come back in, and we'll get you back on for an update. Let's pivot out of Nigeria, though, down over to project number 2 in Senegal at the Douta Project. You made an acquisition of some adjacent land to the project last year, and you put some drill holes out just recently to the market on the 24th of March. And this is at your Douta West project. So again, this new land that you picked up, and you're hitting pay dirt here too. So walk us through some of these initial results from Douta West.
Yeah, so the Douta West project is contiguous with the Douta license. We are combining them to make one larger project. This area is, very prospective. And since we acquired the license, we hadn't started drilling yet because we've been focused on the PFS for the Douta project. However, we have always known that the biggest enhancement to the economics of the Douta project is finding this free milling oxide gold mineralization. And we'd worked up a number of drill targets in Douta West and, started drilling what we had ranked as the top priority target called Baraka 3. And we're very encouraged. We've drilled 2 discovery holes. And this drilling was designed based on targeting which had a soil geochemistry anomaly. It had rock chip gold anomalies over a strike length of about just over a kilometer with a geological structure that extends for 3 kilometers. So we're very excited by these results. Now we've drilled these first 2 holes, these first 2 lines, should I say. The next couple of lines, we've got assays pending, and we intend on completing the drilling of this structure. Why are we doing this? It's well known that we've had this PFS due for a long time at the moment. But these ounces, based on the drill results we've seen, could easily be the first ounces to be mined and processed, that in terms of quality. From surface, wide intersections, or averaging about 20 meters wide, very decent grade, between 1.3 and 2.4 grams per ton. And this strike line continues for 3 kilometers in terms of the structure. Now, if we just look to this in layman's terms, this material, based on our MET testing, this ore in the oxides has a 96% recovery. And, even if we found, let's say, 200,000 ounces in this target alone, and I'm just using back of the envelope numbers here, this is a couple of years of very easy production, which will completely enhance the economics of the project, particularly if they were front-ended. So, look, the plan is to drill this out, to find see how much oxide there is here, and then add this to the PFS mine plan. And I gave an interview earlier this week when we made this press release. We're not where we were, sort of 5-6 years ago, where we were doing studies to wrap them up, make them look nice, and raise money to get to the next stage. And no. We're here doing a PFS to understand the economics of this project, and we want to do the most optimal PFS that we can fast track to a DFS, and so we can build this mine. And that's why we've decided to go ahead and drill out this prospect, Baraka 3.
Yeah, Segun, that's a great encapsulation of it. And we've been following along with the work you've been doing at Douta for over 4 years here on the KE report. And I remember the early days, but now fast forward and you've defined about 1.78 million ounces of gold at this project. And it's a lower grade than Segilola, but it's a bulk tonnage larger project and it's going to be a larger mine. And so it's also nice to see 96% recovery rates. Those are fantastic. So if you can really focus on this area at Douta West and bring it into the early mine plan, it helps with the payback period. It helps pay back the initial debt that you borrowed to build the project. So pretty exciting stuff. And when you look at Douta, is there anything else you want to mention about any of the additional drilling you're doing, infilling the main part of the project?
Yes, look, there's in parallel with this, we're also taking the opportunity to convert some inferred material that's already existing in the Makosa and Makosa East pits so they can be incorporated into the mine plan as well. So, that's going on as well as the drilling at Baraka 3. And then after that, we get the results from both drilling programs, which should be constant over the next few weeks. We will actually draw a line and then assess where we are in terms of the timing for the PFS.
All right, well, we'll be following along with all those drill results as well, gearing up for the PFS, which is really going to be the bigger economic study of the project and probably a little more detailed than some companies because, again, you're looking at this through the eyes of a company that wants to build this project. One other piece of news just to get you really quickly is you had a nice resolution. You put out some news just today on the 26th that you had a fact-finding committee on the Osun State dispute, and you came up with a nice resolution. So just a quick comment on that, Segun.
Yeah, look, I would just like to say we're pleased with the outcome. We had this very public allegations made against us in September and October last year. This was escalated to the Federal Ministry of Mines in Nigeria, who constituted a committee, a fact-finding committee, to look into these allegations in great detail. We're pleased with the outcomes, which showed at every single level we were exonerated and shown to have carried out no wrongdoing. We've made this press release this morning and we've put this report on our website so people have access to the findings and conclusions of this. What I would say is that, going forwards, we don't want to be in a situation where we're clashing heads with the state. So we will try to keep amicable dialogue with them going forwards on any unfinalized amounts the state would still like to resolve. But, it's also worth stressing that we have a very good social license to operate with our local communities as well. We've done over 40 projects, community projects. We continue to carry out projects. We're the biggest employer in that area. And yes, I'll just finish off by saying we're pleased with the outcomes.
Well, Segun, just as we wrap up, when you look at Thor Explorations today, you're producing in Nigeria when there's record high gold prices, so you should have a pretty zesty Q1 numbers when they come back in. You're exploring around the Segilola Mine and under the mine to extend the mine life. You're exploring in Douta to infill the known resources, but also expand resources in Douta West. Anything else you want to say to kind of summarize from people the value proposition in Thor Explorations and what distinguishes you from maybe other companies in the sector?
Yeah, I think before I even say that, I would say, we expanded into Côte d'Ivoire last year as well. And, we've been advancing our exploration licenses there in the background over the course of the last 6 months. And I think in Q2 this year, we shall start getting some initial news flow from Côte d'Ivoire. And we're very excited by that, being in a new country on some very good ground in a jurisdiction that's had a very strong track record in terms of finding gold deposits and building gold mines. So, yeah, we are looking forward to updating the market with our progress in Côte d'Ivoire next quarter. Back to the value proposition of the company as a whole, we're generating strong cash and, we're operating in a record high gold price environment. We have costs which are comfortably below $1,000 per ounce, or our guidance for the year is around about $1,000 per ounce. And, we still have exploration and upside opportunities across our whole portfolio in Nigeria. We have a second project which we are looking to deliver in terms of building, and that will have in terms of valuation, significant an enhancement to the value proposition of the company, which has the ability to also continue to generate cash for us with a longer mine life as well. So, we have a very busy 9 months ahead of us before we finish the year. We hope to tick off our guidance in terms of production and costs. We have a great project in Senegal, which we are advancing very quickly, and we will attach some economics to. And we're in a new jurisdiction where, should I say, the romance of early stage exploration could add another dynamic to it. So, yes, very busy year ahead, and we're very excited by it.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up there for today, but I'm glad you threw in the project in Côte d'Ivoire, the third project for the company, where you're bringing the romance back to early stage exploration. So 3 different projects in 3 different countries, so diversified in that sense. Also a producer, developer, and explorer all in the same time. So a lot of work on tap and a lot of news on tap from Thor Explorations for the balance of this year. And for those listening in, if you want to follow along with all the news, definitely click on the link below this interview. It takes you right over to the Thor Explorations website, straight to their news section, where you can follow along or sign up for updates, get them sent right to your inbox. Segun, keep us posted as more news breaks. We'll get you back on for an update. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
Great. Thank you so much.